Good evening, everyone. Hey, how's everyone doing? It's spring. Come on now. My name's Daniel Atkinson, and I'm the manager of public programs here at the Museum of Contemporary Art Chicago. Welcome. Just to describe myself before talking about the program, I'm a white, masculine presenting person with a beard, wearing all black. I work at an art museum. I'm wearing all black, save for my rainbow shoes. I also have a black hat that says books on it. Before we begin, if you could take a moment to just turn off your cell phones, please, unless, of course, you're using it for captioning. Thank you all for coming to our annual program, Access Praxis, in conjunction with our longtime collaborator, Bodies of Work. Thank you also to our generous funders, a full list of which is here. Joining me on stage is Carrie Sandall, who has way too many titles to mention. Among other things, she's a co-director at Bodies of Work, who is also the founder and director of UIC's program on disability, art, culture, and the humanities. If you can join me in welcoming Carrie.
Is it on? Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful afternoon. My name is Carrie Sandall, and I am a white woman with medium-length brown hair. I'm wearing glasses. I'm sitting in my manual wheelchair. I did not coordinate outfits with these four, but I'm also wearing all black. It must have just been, the museum vibe, so I dressed accordingly. I am happy to introduce today's program. As Daniel mentioned, this is the collaboration. This is the third iteration of a program called Access Praxis. So this program is interested in showcasing the work of artists with disabilities who are interested in incorporating access or disability accommodations into the aesthetics of their work and are interested in talking about how their disability experiences inform their process as well as the content of their work. So I want to thank Daniel and Sandy Gutman in the back and Joy Young here for helping put together today's program. And I want to tell you a little bit about Bodies of Work. We are a consortium of 4 organizations. At UIC, we have the Disability Cultural Center. The director, Margaret Fink, is here today. We have the Disability Culture Activism Lab at the School of the Art Institute. We have my program of Disability, Art, Culture, and Humanities. And then our 4th partner is Access Living, which is just down the street. And they're reopening their building tomorrow. It's been closed for I don't know how long. There was a flood there that caused a lot of problems, but check them out down the street. They're a center for independent living for people with disabilities. So Bodies of Work supports the development of new work and creative activity by people with disabilities who are interested in creating new things that come from the disability experience, but in new and unexpected ways. So we're avoiding stereotypes and things that are expected and really breaking the mold and making changes in the art and culture world. So I am going to introduce our artist today. Ariella Granados is going to be doing an artist talk and sharing some of her work that intersects with the theme of Access Praxis. Ariella was a resident of Bodies of Work in a program, an artist residency program we have with 3 Arts. And they worked with us over the course of a semester on thinking through disability experience in their work and making new things, which they'll be talking about today. And then also, Ariella will be in conversation with Jen Heineman, who is the Director of Visitor Experience at the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, the city. So let's welcome them, and I'm turning over the mic to start the program. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, check. I'm going to do a little bit of extended intros, and then Ari is going to give you a visual description of the pre-show video that we were watching, and then we'll launch into our discussion and look at some slides and videos along the way. So that's what's going to happen. My name is Jen Heineman. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a white person with a brown mushroom haircut and large gold aviator glasses on that were my grandpa's. I have red lipstick on and a gold necklace, and I'm wearing a green jumpsuit and gold, black, and beige zebra print high heels. And I was born not here in Chicago, but I was raised here in Chicago and forged in New York, and now I have returned. And I'm currently working for the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events as the Director of Visitor Experience and Public Engagement, which is the position in which I met Ari when we did a Artist in Residence program that was a collaboration between DCASE and MOPD, which is the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. And that was the first time that we ever had that residency, and it was absolutely a pleasure to work with Ari on that residency from 2022 to 2023. And I want to thank the MCA and Bodies of Work for bringing me here today with Ari to have this conversation. It's always great when I get to chat with my buddy. And we both love cultural access practices. So at DCASE, I'm also the accessibility point person for the department and do lots of work on accessibility on our cultural programs in all of our venues, across all of our events in the Cultural Center, Millennium Park, and beyond. And so I want to shout out to, if anybody has any needs, feel free to take care of them in the space, and nobody's judging you for doing what you got to do, right? Just do it. All right, so I am thrilled to talk about this new work in process, your past work, your work with Bodies of Work. That's a lot of works. And also just thrilled to watch Ari's continued development. So I'm going to read Ari's bio. Ariella Granados is a multidisciplinary artist based in Chicago whose work uses video, sound, costuming, makeup, and sculpture to explore the liminal space between fiction and truth. This work integrates green as a signifier rendering the disabled body against the complexity of the socio-political landscape. Granados' work is intertwined with the consumer's inability to not be fully satisfied with the consumption of commodities. It utilizes dynamic world-building techniques that they use as a critique, the body as a commodity itself, offering their own lived experience as a bicultural person, and through their work, Ari invites the viewer into a world where they must confront questions of agency and authenticity. So, Ari holds a BFA from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and they are a former 3 Arts Bodies of Work resident artist and the inaugural artist in residence with DCASE and the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Ari, anything else you'd like to add and a visual description of what we watched?
Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Ari. I am a Latinx person wearing orange squared rectangular glasses, a black denim moto jacket, some black pants, loafers, white socks, and a blue shirt. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about the work I've been doing and, you know, the previous work that's led up until now. So.
Awesome.
Oh, and then the visual description of the looping video was of me in an illustration of my mom's bedroom, and I'm jumping on the bed.
Jumping on the bed, jumping on the bed. We watched Jumping on the Bed for about an hour. So everybody's lymph, Ari's lymph is moving around great. All right, so I want to start out talking about, well, right now on the screen, what we're seeing, you want to tell us a little bit about this?
So right now you're seeing an image of me with red hair, faceless, holding a chicken, a fried chicken, no.
Rotisserie?
A rotisserie chicken with candles, and then my arm is wrapped in chicken, and there's just like chicken on plates on a table against a yellow background and a green table. Yeah.
Excellent. Is this a digital work?
This is a digital work. It was just some imagery that I had directed and modeled for.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What year is this from, Ari?
2021.
2021. So what we're looking at is a piece of Ari's work that was from a little bit back, kind of early in your experience of working like this. But there are a number of themes that repeat, right? We see the the body and constructions built on the body, or the body being altered in certain ways. We also see the green screen, or the face changing, the hair changing, these kind of characters changing in space. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your kind of alter egos, right? Or creating these altered bodies and using the green screen to create spaces. So like this video right here, it's a still from a video that we're now seeing on the screen, which features two characters. And the text on the screen says, "We used to have cable before you left."
That's the title of the work. This is from my BFA thesis show in 2019. I made a series of videos that were essentially just trying to understand my own personal history, and I did it through the aesthetics of Mexican television. And so in the video, I'm really interested in just playing with ideas of truth and fiction through irony and satire. And so this video is about a single mother who works at a poultry factory and is being interviewed on a very popular news network channel called Univision. So yeah, that's that video.
Yeah. And the next one.
And then, so yeah, when I was in, school, I was really interested in, the idea that I was able to reimagine space. And I think at the time I was really interested in processing and understanding my own personal history and recognizing that I had like tools to manipulate that through space and through costume. And then, later on I became more interested in, taking the color green from the background into the foreground. And so this was a performance that I did I did this at Joshua Tree, where I basically had a green piece of fabric that I was trying to hold up to the best of my ability. And there was a green screen note where I'm just kind of journaling about my feelings and experiences as a disabled person. And then I continued the exploration of green in the forefront. And so, in post-production, green again is used as a way to render space. And so I thought of then using green as a way to render my body, as a way to pose a critique, I guess maybe even so, and thinking about like feeling like I had to change my body at the time, and so using that as like a symbol. And so what happens if I paint my arm green and green screen something on it? And so this video was static, being green screened on it.
So in this screen, we're seeing you in the center, and your.
Oh yeah, and this was in 2020, so this was at home, and yeah.
This is at home, and then your right arm is green, is like a texture.
It's like TV static.
TV static.
Yeah.
And then people in the background were mobile.
Yeah.
Were moving around. So
yeah,
there's a street scene with people in the background moving, and you're static in the center with literal TV static on your arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I find really interesting about a lot of these earlier works that Ari was making in school, and it keeps coming up, right? The repetition of kind of this need to change your body and to fit your body within to spaces which already exist in society, and see the different ways in which you could kind of alter that and take back control in that way, or like assert yourself in these ways that in the space that otherwise exists without Ari's not being able to exert yourself, right? And when we worked together at the MOPD residency, and you did Disabling Utopia, which was the final project of Ari's residency, and they brought a group of other artists who identify as having a disability in to create spaces, like dioramas, like small utopias of our own. I was one of the folks that got to do it. And creating those spaces seems to continue to resonate with you, right? We're gonna talk in a little bit about the new work, Chroma Key, after me, and then the kind of continued spaces that you're making. So I'm interested in you continuing to talk about how you moved from kind of working solo, like these images are just you solo creating these things, and then coming into like a community, or what that meant to you to start bringing in other folks, and folks with disabilities and folks without disabilities.
Yeah, I think at the time I wasn't always making work about disability, just because I didn't have the conceptual framework about what it meant to identify as a person with a disability, but I'd been disabled my whole life. And so, I think through the residency that I did with DCASE brought about a community-oriented space where I was given the opportunity to build a community with other disabled individuals and artists. And so, I had this idea of like creating a space that we could green screen ourselves into. And so I made an open call, and they all got to like pick their own alter egos, and I did the makeup design for it. I styled them, directed the video, and had like a makeup artist and a full production team to actualize that. But
I think you have some images that we could get to. We can come back to that one. So, So this is an image on the screen of 9 different people in their costuming that was then green screened into each of their altered worlds. And from left to right, we've got the green screen in the background, which is very prevalent. And then we've got a person in a green outfit and a pink outfit, another reddish pink outfit, and silver and rainbow and white and blue and a couple other blues. And so I also think in your world building, you really lean into color and joy and kind of this idea of play, like that video that we watched at the beginning of the jumping on the bed. There's this sense that you've come into your identity as a person, as an artist with a disability, as a disabled person, but also that you express in these works a sense of joy and color and community and perspective. And so I'm wondering about if you can talk a little bit about how that's continuing in your work, or where you're finding that for yourself, why that's important for it to show up in your work.
I just have a natural inclination towards like pattern and color. Like that's just what I'm naturally drawn to.
In your...
Oh yeah, in my non-colorful outfit, which was not always the case. I think earlier on, before, I had, the language and idea to like think about myself as a person with disability, like I was, always experimenting with my looks and like dyeing my hair and dressing really colorful. And, that in itself felt like performance too for me. It felt like art, for me. It was like an extension of myself and being able to express myself in that way. And well, now I think I've poured that energy into the work that I'm making. So, yeah.
Interesting. On the screen now, the text says Disabling Utopia, and there's 3 stills from during the shoot. Each shoot of each person was also recorded as an interview, and Ari took pieces from the interview recordings and created a video that went with the still visual images that were part of the project. And so in this one, it's the same person in the 3 screens, and it has text on the bottom that says, "It doesn't open as many doors as people want you to believe." And it's like an ongoing conversation of like, is this valid? Am I valid? Is my experience valid? Does someone else share this experience? I'd love for you to talk more about your relationship to that and in the filming of that and creation of that, how it continued to shape your identity, or how being in conversation with these other artists affected your trajectory.
Yeah, I think, I was just very grateful to have been able to facilitate a space that I had kind of full control of in a way, at least where, I was able to assist and help with like the world building aspect of it. And, it was just very deeply impactful to just talk to a person one-on-one, and I haven't really grown up around a lot of like disabled people, at least in that capacity. And so just spending those 3 days during that shoot was deeply impactful for me. And it just, really showed me that there really is a spectrum to this experience. My lived experience as a person with disability may look very different to someone else's, but there is, a commonality. And I'm also aware that, people also have different sets of privileges too, along that spectrum. So,
yeah. Let's talk more about that and about identity and about your work, and specifically why you continued with like bodies of work to think about access and disability in art, right? a couple of years ago, you were, like you said, you didn't have the maybe context or language to consider yourself a person with a disability, although you had all your life been a person with a disability. But now you've come into that space where you identify as a person with a disability, an artist with a disability. Does that visibility and identity, and I think this calls back to what's behind us on the screen, that text that says it doesn't open as many doors as people want you to believe, right? There's this moment between what expectations then are put on you or your work when somebody says artist with disability, right? Are there expectations that then come with it about what your work is going to be about, or what it's going to contain, or what it can't be, or what you can or cannot be? You know, can you talk a little bit about how you've experienced that?
Yeah, I think about that a lot. I think sometimes it's even my own internalized expectations where I feel like I have to make things that are centered around that. But I think something that I've found very helpful is reminding myself that anything that I make will always inherently be disabled because it's from me. And, my experience cannot be fully replicated in that way. So, yeah, I think it's just been having to remind myself that I can make anything. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I know when we worked together in the residency, it being the first Artists with Disabilities residency, I have non-apparent disabilities, so I'm coming at it from a place of advocacy, but also wanting to kind of be in line with timelines and structures of institutions or of agencies and expected kind of production and work, right? When we think about work and we're going to produce some work and it's going to be produced by X date and it's going to look like this and this many people and we're going to accomplish all these timeline things. And so we made a really strong public programming plan. We worked together and I helped guide you on that. And then there came some times where you needed to say, hold on, right? Like, can you talk a little bit about that experience and about how you think now that applies to when you're working on pieces or with people or organizations?
Yeah. I think timelines are helpful. They keep you accountable. But I also think as I've been working on projects back to back for probably the past 2 years now, like there have been moments where I have to really check in on myself and how my body feels, and having to surrender to the lack of agency that I sometimes don't have in my body. Sometimes I wake up in pain and I just have to kind of flow with however that is going to be for the day. And I think also it's reminded me that, I have such a great community to call on. I don't have to do everything by myself, and I am very grateful for that. You make great things when you're in community with others, and Chicago is a great place for that.
Yeah, that's excellent. You were talking to me about that community and about how you also have a great love of making music, right? And it's not just images or video that's based on costuming or alter egos or world building, but making music. I'd love to have you share with folks more about your music practice and that community and how that works into your...
I have a video we can watch. I did an improvised performance with the residency with my band. And the video is an experimental graphic score where I utilized green paint to paint an abstract score that the band then improvised to. And yeah, we can watch it. Cool. Do I play it or do they play it?
It's buffering.
1 minute of it. But yeah, I green screened my first birthday VHS tape video against it, and yeah, I mean, I've really been focused on music for the past 2 years now, and that's been a very important part of my practice too. I think it's really reminded me of, again, the importance of community and getting to lean into my community to actualize my ideas sonically, because I'm not formally trained with instruments, but I feel confident in my directing abilities. So yeah, I made an album that's going to come out probably like August or September, and it's, I guess, heavily improvised, I would say, for the most part. And, in making music and, heavily leaning into improvising feels, I guess it just makes me think about how, as a disabled person, I'm just naturally improvising through my life every day. And I have like a natural inclination towards improvising, and it comes so natural and it feels very easy to me in music because it's something that I'm practicing in my daily life, So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for the music. It's great. I have a great band, and yeah.
Where are folks going to be able to find that music?
My artist alias is Sparkle Mommy. It's with no E after Sparkle. So it's SPARKL and then MAMI.
Yeah. I'd love to talk more about what Sparkle Mommy looks like. So Sparkle Mommy, I think it was a little hard to see on this screen, but Sparkle Mommy doesn't look like you.
No, it's a green morph suit with a bright pink wig, and I have this huge knitted arm that I wear, and I usually wear a suit. So yeah, it's fun. It's another alter ego that, sometimes I play in and sometimes I don't. Kind of just depends on how I'm feeling. So.
And what does Sparkle Mommy sound like?
Damn. I don't know.
You started to sing when that video was playing.
Yeah, I did sing in there. How does she sound?
Not to put you on the spot, but you guys will all have to check it out when the album comes out. But I feel like your music group, even when we were working in the residency, a lot of the artists that work with Ari on the music came to the public programs that we were doing as part of the MOPD residency, and so you have a lot of support from them, and it's really lovely to see. I do want to talk about how that community or support and this need that folks with disabilities, artists with disabilities, sometimes have or often have for asking for help for certain things, and about how that's playing out in Chroma Key after me in the physical build of the rooms, right? So in Chroma Key after me, which is Ari's new body of work, Ari built, just going through some of the images from other things, Ari built, so on the far left-hand side, there's some early stage clay rooms,
Yes.
right?
And then
And you had never worked in clay before.
not formally, not this committed. No.
Okay. And when you started working in clay, what did you find?
It takes long, and I needed help. So luckily, I had a mentor that I got to work with, and I have sketches that I can show you of each room.
And this is your childhood house, right?
And this is my childhood home that I recreated and reimagined. So that's my teenage bedroom, lime green walls, nasty brown shag rug, a Tinkerbell twin bed, a yellow table, a Dora play kitchen. There's a man in a wheelchair, a mother taking a photograph of the girl playing, and then other girl leaving the room. And then the other one is a blue bedroom, which is my mom's room, and I'm jumping on the bed. So that's 2 sketches of it. And then these are more, this is a bathroom with pink walls, blue tub, and then a living room with beige walls, flower lining, a TV and a couch and a lamp. And then these are some of the ceramic pieces that came about. But I definitely needed help. So I got to work with my mentor, and we both built these together. It was a lot of like him transcribing my drawings, and then I'd work on the rooms, and he'd help me in making the objects. So these are some of them.
So it's interesting to me is that in creating this a lot of world building that you've been doing for years now, it seems like some of it is like you taking control as an artist, right? And being in spaces where your body, it doesn't give you the ability to take control because of your disability in the way that maybe other folks' bodies do, right? And you're creating these spaces where you have more control over things. And then in your music with the band, right, or in this moment where you've had to ask for help, you also have to navigate not being able to fully control everything, right? Did you, I don't know, it's just something that I note for that. And like when you took photos of some of the rooms and having to bring in people, how do you navigate your kind of desire to control situations and then work in collaboration with people?
Being as descriptive as possible when communicating my ideas is very important to me. Usually it's like having drawings, or if it's like a video that I'm being filmed, having like, a layout or stills drawn out frame by frame. But I think, I think I've found a solid group of people that are, get an idea of what I want, and we've also just built that trust,
Yeah, it like pings for me in that people with disabilities sometimes are considered that that folks can't make all those decisions themselves, and that the helper asserts their will or their desire in the helping aspect. But it seems like you've found a community of people and folks that work with you on your art who really still are doing your vision, right? They're not coming in and with their own, they're coming in with their own hands, literally, but also not with but just being support of you, which I think is really lovely. It's really congrats to finding those folks. And
thank you to my community.
yes, thank you to your community. It takes a lot of trust, right? These are more of your rooms, and all of these little bits. About how big are these rooms? I feel like they're
like 11 by 10, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 11 by 10, maybe like 2 feet high. Yeah. So this is the kitchen. There's a red table, a fridge, sink, oven, and there's like an aerial view. There's a laundry room back there. Walls are yellow.
What's going to happen in these rooms?
I'm going to green screen myself in them once I develop the characters. So the characters are loosely inspired by family members. And it's just, right now I'm in the character study aspect of it. So fleshing out the characters, and then I'll green screen myself inside of them. And then there'll be videos to each room.
So at the end of the project, you'll be able to show the rooms as standalone pieces of art, as well as the videos.
Yes.
And that was one of your intentions, right?
Yes.
To be able to have some physical objects, and you have music, you're going to have an album, you'll have these physical objects that are pieces of art, as well as the videos that you've been working in for a long time. So continuing your medium ability. Plus, you were telling me that you thought about how, so places that show work, right, or galleries, there's room for video, of course, but maybe more room for physical objects.
Yeah. And I think it's something I've always been interested in. I think at the time, though, like a digital medium was what I had access to then, and so now I have support where I'm able to move towards exploring different mediums. But I've always had physical, wanting to make installations or sculptures and things like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you want to show characters now?
Sure.
The bathroom. I love that rubber ducky. There's a rubber ducky on the bathroom and what is that? Is that a zebra print heart rug?
I want to say it's tiger.
Tiger print heart rug. There's a little waste in the waste basket. It really reminds me, this and even the Disabling Utopia's rooms, gives me this sense of like dollhouse, and you have the small kitchen in the replica of your bedroom here in the Chroma Key After Me world. And just like your ability to go back in to these memories, right? And to go back in to a situation to kind of recraft it, or like come to a space of maybe trauma or like re-understanding of yourself and the other people that were involved in those things and have this moment. And it makes me think about children with dollhouses or children doing the same kind of thing, and being able to process their world like that. And I think it's really lovely. It takes, it seems very accessible, right? Just being able to look at it and experience it like that and smile and feel the, oh yeah, dollhouse, and I see that, and I see you working in there and jumping on the bed.
It feels nice. Yeah.
This is your mom's room on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And then the living room. I also think, though, that, like toys and, I think I like color and maybe toys and things like that, because at least for this project, like, I think it also, I was thinking about, like, challenging ideas of, like, domesticity and what it means to be domesticated, and yeah, what does that look like if I didn't grow up in a conventional household with a mom and a dad, or just alternative ways of thinking about family. Yeah
And being able to reinterpret it.
Should I change it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah.
And this is just a sketch of the character study. So it's like different characters, and I was really inspired by the Brady Bunch, and again, trying to understand ideas of domesticity.
And family.
And family.
Yeah.
It's
giving me, you were, in your earlier work, you're trying to understand your body within spaces, and your particular body within spaces of other bodies that aren't the same, right? And now it seems like you're also working on, the personal is political kind of moment of your work is continuing, and you're working on like your family against a backdrop of other families, like the Brady Bunch and siblings and parents and a housekeeper and all of those kind of things versus your domesticity that you grew up with. So on here we're seeing the green screen and a group of different people, and this is is this a sketch of the character study? Great.
This is for real the last take. Will you look at that? People. I look so much like my mom. Welcome to the character study of the artist themselves. For some reason, this artist feels deeply compelled to try and understand what the hell went wrong. Not with them, well, within the family. And through the family, them. To our left, we find a maternal figure. We'll call her Louisa. In the middle, we have a grandfather. We'll call him Jose. And to the right, we have Louisa simply putting on her makeup before her work shift. We find through this character study that the mother on the left is extremely regretful and saddened by the realization that her daughter deeply resents her. She goes on to express forgiveness and an apology, but also understands the ways in which she was not able to be emotionally present as she was dealing with what had happened to her by her grandfather in the middle, Jose. Ah yes, Jose, the estranged grandfather of 35 years. Isn't that something? Didn't really know where he went. He kind of just suddenly showed up one day. I think I was about, 15 or so? It was kind of strange having a grandfather at 15 years old that I'd never met, who suddenly now lived in my house. That was an adjustment. Anyways, we go on to find that the grandfather is expressing regret and guilt for not having been there, but also goes on to talk about how he wouldn't have had his life any other way, that if he could relive his life, he would do it exactly the way he did. Yes, telling that to his 15-year-old granddaughter, who he was not there for. And so he proceeds to moisten his eyes. it's just kind of something, to be honest. And well, it goes like that.
That's just a sketch.
Yeah. Before we see if there's any questions in the audience, is there anything that you wanted to add that we didn't get to?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's just like a video sketch, and those I find very helpful to make as I'm developing the character, and then I'll continue to think about how I want to design the character, like the makeup, the costuming, and things like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
it
And
was fun.
they'll show up in those rooms.
Yeah, they'll show up in the rooms soon. And yeah, I also like voice acting, so it was fun getting to do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That voiceover that we just heard in that video, you know, I've seen Ari do some sound work with your band where you make live video and do kind of improvisational voicing over like that. So it's not necessarily always singing that you're doing with the band. Sometimes you're doing like performative improvisational text, right? So that's cool that you get to riff in those different ways.
Gets to travel around,
Yeah.
take new forms.
Yeah, take new forms. I want to make sure that we have any questions that we get them answered. Great, we've got some mic runners and we're ready to go. I see one hand already. Ready?
Hello, my name is Ruby Bradford. I really love your work. My favorite, the bathtub in the kitchen and Rubber Duck. And I try to be a record artist I want to do, but that's not I want to do at Project On either. And I really appreciate it. I really like it a lot, but don't end up to you. By the way, Ruby Bradford. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you.
We've got a non-on mic. Just hold for 1 second.
Hey y'all, my name is Novazai. Very pleased to be here to celebrate your work. I am blown away by the seeming infinitude of your creative force. Like you just manifest in so many different ways. And I'm wondering if you can talk about I guess it's like, I'm hearing you talk about being disabled, but when I perceive you, I don't see any limitation, you know. But I'm wondering if you can kind of riff on the frankness of feeling limitation in your body. You know, if like you said, you wake up in pain and you feel limited for that day, but then you go on for 2 years to continue to create work of all different kinds, and there's like literally no ceiling to what you conceive yourself doing, you know. So how do you kind of reckon being an infinite spirit in a limited body?
Wait, write that down. Somebody write that down.
I mean, well, the ideas definitely just never stop. Damn. I think essentially like making is like the driving force, to be honest. Like, and yeah, there are days when I have to like take it slower than others, but man, I don't know. That's a really good question, actually. I mean, it makes me think about music and like my relationship to just like how intuitive that feels, and maybe just like my practice in general feels like an intuitive thing to me, you know? I think maybe it serves as a space for me to like further understand what it means to like be in my body and how I can create systems to work around my limitations in ways that are sustainable for me in the long term. Because I've definitely have dealt with burnout, you know, but I also don't know how to not work, you know. So I think it's like an ongoing thing that I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, community, like my friends and the people that I get to work with, you know, really have made a lot of the things that I've made possible. I could not have done that by myself. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
Great talk and presentation. Thank you. I heard you speak a lot about community, and I'm curious to hear you expound briefly about some of the greatest things. I want to use the term like you're a way of being synonymous with disability, but it's just, how you navigate life. Like, what are some of the greatest things your way of being has brought you?
What has it brought me?
Yeah, what has it like offered your life? Some of the greatest things. Yeah.
I think I have a gift to bring people together, and I think I have a gift to like be felt through the things that I make, and that attracts people, and that's attracted a community that are all mutually invested in, actualizing each other's ideas. And I think my way of being has brought me amazing people, and like also just like love, in working with people, in sharing space with people, and also in being of service to people as well in the ways that I can, So.
I think that's something that I see come up a lot inherently with artists with disabilities, and often like people of color, and kind of coming into community, which is kind of like this anti-capitalist and like anti-capitalist model, right? Where you and the folks that you're in community with are invested in supporting each other and actualizing each other's dreams, and that happens a lot with folks with disabilities, that community becomes really important, right? And so almost being an artist with a disability, that's like a thing that you leaned into really hard, and is a win for that identity, right? That's awesome.
And, being in Chicago gave me my sense of community too. So that took some time to cultivate.
Yeah, props to Chicago for that. I think it's an interesting space because it sounds like your community is not competitive, right? It's not a competitive community, or like folks aren't like vying for who is the lead, or who's getting the shine, or those kind of things.
There's enough room for everybody, so, yeah.
Are you, I think there's another hand, which is great, but I want to make sure too that we let people know where they can continue to find you.
Oh, yeah. I have a performance on May 11th at a theater called Aguillon Theater, and I will be doing live green screening and a sound performance, so you should come. It'll be fun. There will be a live green screen, and then there will be like live projection going on, and I'll have some improvised sound with a keys player and some pedals and things like that.
Yeah, is there a question?
I wanted to ask the question, you mentioned a lot about community and how that's helped you create your art. And my biggest thing is like, how do you go about the ask, right? Of getting people motivated to work on this one thing that, you're inspired to do. Like, because that's the thing I feel I struggle with the most is like, getting people excited about, whatever it is that I'm working on. So how do you go about doing that in your work?
Well, I'm not afraid to ask for help anymore. I definitely was for a very long time. And then I just realized that it's just not sustainable. I think leaning into vulnerability is what's helped me a lot, and facilitating space in a way that feels collaborative, and it doesn't feel like it's a hierarchy or you're working for me. I have this idea, can we bring this together? You have a set of skills that I really admire and I know will help me actualize this idea. How can we work together to, have this be a collaborative thing? I'm also just really blessed with great people and talented people at that. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Also, I'm thinking about residencies, right? And residencies and the opportunities that residencies can give artists that are newer in their
Yes.
careers or less exposed in their careers, the resources that residencies can give, right? Residencies can give space and time, but they can also give money. Funding, right? And I know when we did our residency together, you were able to pay so many artists.
And that feels good. That is the best feeling ever, to be able to give back to your community and actualize your idea. Yeah.
So finding opportunities, whatever opportunities are in your wheelhouse of art, right? But finding those opportunities that will help you elevate your professional game, but in elevating your professional game, kind of helping elevate your community's professional game too, right?
Yes.
One, like the tide lifts all boats kind of moment of that, sharing those resources.
If I understood correctly, some of this work is you're creating a space that you can be in without having to change your own space. I was curious on two things. How do you feel like the spaces you create are different from the spaces in what I'll call the real world? And are there places that you want to go but are too afraid to or haven't got to yet?
Yeah. Thinking. I don't think I've naturally have grown up to feel safe in public space or in the real world. I think I spent a lot of time hiding my body and that was like my form of masking for a really long time. And so I think having the ability to create my own space gave me, creative control, but also allowed me to think about what made me feel safe within, this world that I'm building for myself. And now when I interact in public space, I'm always thinking about just design things or why does this ramp have to be on the side? And why, there could have been a cool, innovative way to incorporate a ramp in the middle or around stairs or something. As I progress, I would like to get to larger scale work where I'm able to design spaces. That would be really cool. Something I'm definitely interested in. I think places that I haven't been that I want to be in is, I think there's a certain sense of control that I feel in costume and, being able to manipulate the characters that I'm building. But I'd also like to lean into just maybe it being myself in no costume and just me for who I am. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It makes me think about what are your access, non-negotiables. When we watched those videos here, when we saw the videos, there's captioning on all of your videos, right? And so just being an artist with a disability, but also being an artist, any artist, you don't have to be an artist with a disability, but when you're creating work, right, what are those access non-negotiables that you can add to your work in an aesthetic way that suits how you want your work to look, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you navigate the aesthetics and access needs of?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to me at this point. I've always been interested in captioning just because prior I was making work that was in Spanish, so I was translating it to English. And then, the voiceover, it's just all is a part of the work. I think, places that I'm excited to go towards in music is utilizing accessibility aesthetics within performances, having a ASL interpreter on stage as a performer where maybe we're in conversation with each other or, maybe me sitting on a live cart and you just using those different tools as another way to add to the performance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that also speaks to your love of and involvement in community, right? Is that you just add those things to your work if you're interested in being inclusive and making people feel that they belong at your work or watching your work, right? So you do have a deep love of community and belonging, and it shows up.
Yeah.
I think I saw another hand.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. So I would like to hear more about your approach to comedy and humor and the ways in which this mode of address kind of allows certain agency to come through in a way that maybe like a more serious or, blank expression wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah. Well, I get to manipulate the truth, but a lot of these things are true, and it's heavy stuff. Like, I think it'd be kind of cringe if it was like dramatic and serious. That's not my vibe. But I haven't formally like trained in comedy, but I mean, I like it. I like to think that I'm kind of funny, and I can kind of practice it when I make the videos. My friends think I'm funny. But I'm interested to see like, how much I could grow if I actually maybe took comedy, maybe one comedy class or something, learn a thing or two. But yeah, I think I'm also referencing just like growing up with like super dramatic Mexican television. Like they were being serious, but it's actually just funny. Like, so.
Hi, Ariella. Quick question for you. Generally speaking, with artists coming up and pre-existing, I want to know, especially since a lot of your previous work kind of has some themes about your childhood and things that you grew up with. Do you have any experience, or do you have any inspirations that kind of brought you to becoming a creative person throughout your childhood? That you have any artists or any influences through childhood outside of, as you just referenced, Mexican television? And then how are those influences different as an adult? And do you have anybody now that you look up to in terms of work, or is there a style or things that you look to for inspiration in moments of dead spots?
Yeah, I'm really bad with names, but I think when I was younger, honestly, the internet and being on Twitter a lot, my research are definitely memes. I'd like to make memes for myself just to have on my wall as inspiration. Artists that I'm inspired by, I would say now, I really like Jacoby Satterwhite's work, and Shanna Moulton's work is really awesome too. Sandra Perry makes really great work as well. They're all digital-based artists who work with green and 3D rendering, world building, I would say too. I'm really bad with names, so yeah, those are the top 3 that came to my mind immediately, though. Mm-hmm.
Because Jacoby, I know some of it is also in Second Life. There's this interesting, I don't know, this whole thing about sense of control and kind of manipulating the world, right, as you want it to be versus as it is, and
yeah,
as your body is.
And the transcription of his mom's drawings. His work's awesome. Yeah.
Cool. It was a great question, and thank you all for asking your questions. Does anybody else have any more? If not, Ari has the show May 11th at Aguijón, which is Chicago's oldest Spanish language theater. So that's pretty cool. And that's a great opportunity to get to see their work in action, and aside from the solidified clay, is there anywhere that they can see those?
Oh. No, not anymore.
Did they take them down?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
down.
Well, it was a little late.
I'm working on showing, a culmination of all the work, though, in early 2025, though.
So first, you get to see the May 11th event at Aguijón, and then the album will come out.
Yes, the album will come out.
Sparkle Mommy.
Yes. Debut. No, I'm kidding.
Sparkle Mommy debut. And I love that, just to kind of go somewhere else. Sparkle Mommy, when you see Sparkle Mommy, it's such a amazing visual, compelling visual character. And that big arm piece that you made, who made that? It's
it's an artist. They're based in California. Their name is Lish Road Dare.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just designed it and then they knitted it.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so another instance of you coming up with a design and kind of collaborating with someone. And it's this giant arm with like tattoos and things.
Yeah, and long nails with gems. It's fun. I'm working on a new set of arms I'm excited about. These are going to be like realistic silicone long hands that I'll like tattoo on them myself. They're going to be fun. I want them to be like long and down to like my feet. So that'll be the next iteration.
Would you wear them on both arms?
Yeah, on both arms. I'm working to my final form.
I mean, stay tuned, everybody. Where will Ari go from here? So many places.
Y'all not even ready.
So many places. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ari. Ari's on Instagram at Sparkle Mommy, if you don't already follow. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you to the producers.